Ali. Beat your chest. Chest beatings were narrated within the Musnad of Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Aisha, she beat her chest after the Prophet passes away. And she did it again when her father Abu Bakr passed away.
Shias with the cherry picking, man. And in that same hadith, she said that she was young because she was 18 when the Prophet died. And you today turned that into a sunnah.
Okay, firstly, we have never claimed that self-beating is a sunnah. So again, that's another lie. Even though there is a narration in Sahih Muslim 775, I believe, where Imam Ali alayhi salam said that the Prophet was striking his thigh with his hand.
When Aisha admitted that was a mistake.
Oh yeah, Aisha made many mistakes, and the worst one was waging a war against the Caliph of her time, which is kufr.
And you're trying to compare that to your ritualized beating, throwing dust on yourself.
Throwing dust on yourself, and then you want to mock that, right? Look in Sunan Tirmidhi, volume 5, page 657. Salima, beloved wife of the Prophet ﷺ, said that she saw the Prophet in a dream, and that the Prophet's head and his beard were covered and stained with dust. And she asked, "What made you like this?" The Prophet said, "I witnessed the killing of Hussein." So you mock us for putting dust on our hair and our faces and our heads in grief, yet the Prophet did it, and also your beloved Umar did it. We read in Hilyatul Awliya, volume 2, page 51, the Prophet divorced Hafsa, and when this news reached Umar ibn al-Khattab, he put dust on his head or in his head and said, "Now Umar has no respect in the justice of Allah." And the same has been narrated in Ma'arij al-Nabuwa, chapter 5, part 4. So don't mock us for putting dust on our heads, try mocking Umar first. And in terms of self-harm in Islam, just going to go through these really quickly. We look at Ma'arij al-Nabuwa, chapter 1, page 248. Nabi Adam alayhi salam was so distressed that he smashed his hands onto his knees and his bone could be seen. So self-harm from Nabi Adam. The narration that I showed you earlier about the Prophet striking his thigh. So that's the Prophet self-harming basically. Can also be found in Sahih al-Bukhari, volume 9, book 92, hadith 446. It can be found in Sunan Nasai, volume 3, page 305. It can also be found in Adab al-Mufrad, page 426. It can also be found in Sahih Muslim, volume 1, page 291, and the Musnad Abu Awna, volume 2, page 292. Now, about this tradition of the Prophet striking his thighs, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, on a commentary of this tradition in his book, which is known as Fath al-Bari, Sharh Sahih al-Bukhari, volume 3, page 11, says that the statement striking his thigh shows the permissibility of striking the thigh to express grief. So there you go. There's also a book called Tawfaith Ashari, page 523. It says that when Aisha was defeated in the Battle of Jamal, Ali alayhi salam saw the corpses on the ground and he began to beat his thighs. Now, you're going to say, these are hadiths, show me from the Quran. Well, Surah Dhariyat, chapter 51, verse 29. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recollects an incident where Sarah, the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam, struck her face. Now, the words of the Quran are, فَسَكَّتْ وَجْهَهَا, which basically means she struck her face viciously. Yet Nabi Ibrahim didn't stop her, Allah didn't condemn her, Allah mentioned it in the Quran and then didn't say that this was something that was impermissible. If something happens in front of a prophet, and it's haram, the Prophet's job and duty is to stop that person. Sarah's beating her face and Ibrahim alayhi salam's not doing anything, showing you what? That it is permissible. We look at Kanzul Amal, volume 8, page 117, Kitab Maut. When Umar heard the news of Nu'man ibn Muqran's death, one of his friends, he beat his head and screamed. You know, like Tarzan. Madarij al-Nabuwa, volume 2, page 441, Bilal beat his head and loudly wailed. That's a Sahabi of the Prophet. And we read in Tazkiratul Awliya, page 15 and 16, that Awais al-Qarani, companion of the Prophet, smashed all his teeth when he heard that the Prophet's teeth were struck in the Battle of Uhud. And also we read in Jahur or Kalam, volume 4, page 360, and Wasail al-Shia, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, "It is permissible to beat yourself and shriek for a pure soul, such as Imam al-Hussein." So before you mock us for our grief for the grandson of the Prophet, try condoning all these companions and the Prophet himself for self-harming.
He was 18 when the Prophet died.